Welcome back to the Freeaboo podcast. Austin, what episode are we on by now?
Oh, for us, gosh, you're putting me on the spot here. It's been,
We're strong opening here.
yeah, perfect, absolute professionalism here for episode 9. Episode 9 of the Freeaboos podcast, where we will be talking about One Piece episode 1128. And boy, howdy, has this one been just stupid.
It's been incredible, dog.
Yep.
We just finished it up, and how many screenshots did we end up taking? Just because,
God, 11 or so. Some of it's gonna be for collage, but yeah.
just a quick shout out to the animators. Like, as much as I need more of that anime, please take your time. This
Yes,
is incredible.
This
to
was
look at.
done by the same people who did 1089, which was the destruction of Lelouch, Luffy versus Lucci Part 2, 1100, Galaxy Impact episode. So, yeah, when these people are with their pens and styluses and computers, we feast.
And as it is with One Piece, it's never just one fight that really takes everything. One fight's usually the best, but like, if that fight's like a 9 out of 10, the other ones are like an 8 or a 7.
Mm-hmm.
And it is 100% that the whole episode, like we say, we keep climbing, we hit a peak and we keep climbing, these fights are popping off,
And it's just getting more and more real.
we had to have a quick debate over which one to use for the thumbnail, and it was a bit of a toss-up.
Fun versus epic.
And
Epic won.
it did.
But before we get into 1128, Michelle asked us in the last anime episode in our comments what our favorite devil fruit is.
Oh, man.
We can't narrow down to just one here.
Give it...
So what we did was we got our favorite from each category: Zone, Paramecia, and Logia.
Austin, what are yours?
For the Zone Devil Fruit, I'm going to go to Marco's Devil Fruit. Flying, regen, being able to heal people somewhat. And yes, he doesn't have the highest attack power, but like I feel like that's just more because Marco's a nice guy, I think. I feel like if he had a bit more of a devious mind, we would probably see a little bit more unleashed out of it, I think. But
I don't even want to say he has a low attack power. He's just out here fighting like the strongest people we can name with that.
Yeah, like he's straight up squared up with Akainu,
Big Mom,
Kuzan, Big Mom, King, 2-on-1, handicap match, King and Queen, stalemated them. Didn't beat them, but stalemate them. Also, one of the peak hilarity scenes of post-time skip of kicking Big Mom's ship down the waterfall for a second time.
Yeah, Wano took forever. I would pay him more $1 billion to see that again.
And for the Paramecia Devil Fruit, my Paramecia Devil Fruit, this is a shout and a half here, but I'm going with Blue Nose Door Fruit. It's underrated because like you can just like get in and out of anything, no problem, and you have that little pocket dimension almost. Just you can just go in and escape, and just, from what I remember from Eni's Lobby, he could just walk around and just open up another door wherever he wanted out of that dimension, you know? So, like, it's...
Very powerful. Like, an astoundingly powerful fruit that sounds dumb.
It sounds really dumb, but also it can affect... You can use it to affect your opponent, like twist their body around and stuff like that. Like, I would love to have actually... in a warped way, I would have loved to see it used on an ordinary person, not Luffy. Because, like, I don't know if it's, like, to the level of, like, Lost Fruit, where it's, like, just moving around the limbs and stuff or whatnot, or if, like, it could have actually killed. But it's definitely an underrated devil fruit, in my opinion. Again, obviously the one that does not have really any attack power. But just in terms of favorite and how much I'd like to have it for everyday life, that's my Paramecia. And then for Logia, where definitely probably the most fun in One Piece for Logias, in my opinion. Kizaru's, we're going to be talking about him soon anyway. But just literal light speed here. Not figurative, literal light speed and ability to fly, make clones, make sword,
Any of the Logias go insanely hard. It's like even the worst we can think of, like Smokers, is still really, really
yeah,
good.
yeah. Like, actually, what would be the worst Logia?
Worst Logia.
I mean, technically,
We said it was. I think we said it was Smokers. It's just because Smoker isn't that strong.
Caribous is technically a Logia.
Yeah, it is. The Swamp Fruit.
Yeah.
We saw him get power cliffed.
To be fair, Caribou did utilize it pretty well. If you don't have hockey, you're pretty fucked against him.
He menaced his way all the way up to Sabaody, and then just having to roll up to the people who just could handle that by then. They'd been terrorized by enough Logias that, like, all right, we got one, we're just going to put him in a barrel, and now he's stuck.
Yeah. Which I don't... And you actually don't have many Logias in One Piece, but speaking of devil fruits, though, what are your 3 devil fruits here?
Oh, man. So going for zones, I couldn't help myself. Kaido's, technically speaking, it's the carp fruit that you...
No, yes, the carp fruit model Azure Dragon, I think?
Model Azure Dragon. Well, first of all, if I rolled up and I was a carp, I'd probably be a lot less excited. But rolling out as a dragon, I mean, dude, how could that not be cool? Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I would be able to be, if I could, I would be as strong as Kaido, just lift an island up whenever I felt like it, or knock anyone down with fire breath. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to go wrong with that.
Yeah, ability to fly with it, too.
Yeah. For Paramecia, I ended up going with Law's Devil Fruit because I think moving people around
and things,
moving things and people, or changing their limbs or personality, or just cutting their heart out of their chest, is so goofy to me. Not like I really want to see if we ever get like another Law hype moment. Just let him fight someone while it's raining. Think about this for a minute. There is no reason he should ever
during the
lose.
raid on Onigashima, when they were going to Onigashima, it was raining and
Like, there's no reason he should be able to lose if it's raining when you can just change places with a raindrop.
Yeah.
At will. Like...
the only limit is literally like whatever the bubble of room is.
And oh friggin' my. It's... Yeah. And as for the Logia, I ended up going with... Jump Junie, sorry. Tripping over words. I went with Aokiji's Devil Fruit. I think it's the ice fruit.
Yep.
Because, one, I'm a very warm person. Being able to cool myself down like that would be very nice personally. But ice constructs, freezing the ocean, creating an ice leg if I needed it to. Oh, dude. That would be sick.
I looked up the list of Logias in One Piece. There's only been 13 different Logias ever shown.
Yeah, that's true.
You got Smoker, Crocodile, Enel, Kuzon, Blackbeard's Dark Fruit. It feels weird to actually differentiate for fruits, but
yeah.
Kizaru's, Akainu's, Karasu's, the Soot Fruit, Caribou's Swamp Fruit, Caesar's Gas Fruit, Sabo / Ace's Flame Fruit, Green Bull's, I think it's technically it is the Woods fruit, the forest fruit. It's technically a Logia. It's a really weird Logia.
Yeah, Green Bull's...
And then you also have Monet.
Yeah!
Who...
Good lord, she got power cliffed.
Monet just got stunted on in Punk Hazard. But, yeah, not many Logias in the world of One Piece.
No.
But we will, so yeah, those are our devil fruits of choices, honorable mentions, to a bunch, honestly too many to name.
Yeah, it had...
Especially
we could limit it down, we had to limit it to at least 3.
Yeah. The list of Paramecias is too stupid to go through.
Oh, yeah. But, returning to the episode, and
yes.
It is absolutely friggin' fire.
Episode 1128. 1128. The Nightmare Strikes, Warrior God of Science and Defense, Saint Saturn. First off, long-ass title.
It is. But, oh god, I'm trying to remember the very beginning of the episode, because I'm thinking of all the highlights of what happens.
Yeah.
We get a a number of things and number of fights all at once. Yes, so we start back up with the pacifistas are pacified whenever not
Atlas.
Atlas rolls on out. Is like, all right. Now eliminate the Marines, and they do as they're told. But sure as can be, what's his name from Five Elders? I'm so excited.
Saturn.
I saw an image of Peter earlier today, and now he's all I can think about. Saturn shows up, and
you are way jumping ahead, my lad.
Oh yeah,
you're way jumping ahead. But yeah, first we see the pacifistas get basically overridden by Atlas to attack the Navy, protect Vegapunk, Sanji, Bonnie, and Frankie to, escape. But the first step for them is to find Bonnie.
Find Bonnie.
And
they're coming back down from the clouds, and we get a nice little silly bit. It's like, hey, Frank is talking to Vegapunk. He's like, hey, how are we not just falling directly down because it's a tank?
And they're going basically 179 degrees down.
And he just hits him with, you see, the island clouds are made of a particular substance, and so are the wheels of this tank, so they stick together.
They attract each other. Like, yep, that's just peak anime logic there. You can't really question it. It makes sense.
Frankie hits him with, sounds unscientific, but I trusted.
No, yep. But then they have to try to track down Bonnie, and we get Sanji's woman/girl radar. I know that. I know that Toei loves to dog on Sanji, and they were probably trying to show off as a little bit of a joke. But in a way, this is a type of observation hockey. Maybe
it definitely is. It definitely is.
But so they actually literally give us, and you see on the screen here, a radar. And I'll give technically Sanji credit here. He bypassed Doll to find Bonnie in this radar. So he was able to specify his search.
Well, we have the nice moment of like, how could you possibly know where she is?
Just don't question it. And I literally said this while we were watching it. From the Drake and Josh Christmas movie special, Drake and Josh get summoned to court over... I forget what the point is. And so Drake got their, quote, lawyer. And it's it's Josh's manager from the movie theater. And Josh goes like, she's not a lawyer. But then Drake goes, have you ever seen her lose an argument? And Josh gives the perfect, like, head tilt, like, shrug of, like, I can't argue that one. And it's the same logic. It's basically the same line of logic Frank uses. Like, well, no, you've never been wrong about your woman radar. And Vegapunk's like, yeah, I don't know if that's real, but sure.
Zoro will get lost in, like, a straight line maze. But Sanji could smell his way to the nearest woman, like, blindfolded, paralyzed, and every other debuff you could imagine.
The one exception for Zoro is if he smells booze.
True.
Because, flashing back to Onigashima real fast, he could smell the beer where Sanji the chef could not. Also, Luffy could smell the meat, and Sanji could not. So, if they have the right target, Zoro won't get lost. Which I think just means that the Straw Hats just need to learn to just douse their clothes in alcohol, so that way Zoro can always find them.
That would be rather forward thinking, wouldn't it?
Yeah, just be a shame if they were to go up against Sabo, coated in alcohol.
That'd be rough.
But so we cut down to the pacifistas blowing up a bunch of Marine soldiers, just doing their job, and but also and Bonnie's watching, but Bonnie gets put on her heels a little bit by one of the vice admirals.
She's in the middle of a mess, and that, as far as she knows, a number of the pacifistas just suddenly stop fighting, and then the fighting continues with the Marine soldiers and the vice admirals, and so she has to, show off that she is actually a worthy member of the Supernovas. She finds a gun and then pulls off a move I didn't even know she could do.
Yeah, she, in This is one of the times, I don't know how many times we've actually seen this. A person infused their devil fruit aspects into a weapon. Now, Grant, we've seen objects infused with devil fruits.
Like specifically like firearms. We saw that with
And we've seen like Logias be able, like Sabo with his pipe. He's been able to like make it pipe out of flames.
Mm-hmm.
And like you kind of assume like any Logia can kind of put their properties onto an object.
Oh, what was that? We saw the hockey infused bullets in Wano.
Yeah,
but...
like Izo did it and others did it. Van Auger's definitely implied to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's face it, Yasop would probably be able to do that. But like
infusing
the devil fruit properties?
That's I can't say I've seen that.
Yeah. Again, the closest has been like with Logia's, but not Bonnie's, which is a paramecia. So the closest would be like, I think like Katakuri with his fruit. Or maybe like with like when he had that trident thing, he was able to make part of it mochi, but that's only because he had awakened his devil fruit.
True, and I think we definitely did not see Katakuri at his strongest.
No, Katakuri. I refuse to believe Katakuri was going truly all out.
No way.
Which also, again, a reminder that, in my opinion, he was still stronger than Whole Cake Luffy. I think.
Oh, absolutely. He just lost the will to fight.
He just didn't care anymore. But going back to Bonnie, she pulls off with this devil fruit boosted gun.
Yeah.
Just again a random
she
marine
finds it on the
flintlock
ground.
here. This is a random marine's flintlock, not even like something Vegapunk made. And she shoots like 3 marines, and it's the near-death experience move. She shoots them, and they just see themselves as skeletons. They basically see themselves die. Which that's like Perona's devil fruit on steroids.
Absolutely. And what I pointed out is when we saw it is that like it's not like excessively graphic. It's that like we saw the skin melt from the dude's hand, and turn into a skeleton. Like, well, then I didn't anticipate Toei to let this go off. But as it is airing later, they're allowed to be a little more graphic.
Yeah, later in Japan, which it is nice because it's going to be needed for Egghead going forward.
Oh yeah.
And also keeping a buck, just the post-Egghead One Piece bits that they'll do, and then with Elbaf.
Well, it's also really easy to forget that, especially with the fight we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, there are people who, are just people. And, their flesh can fall from their bones.
Yeah. And then we cut to the Vice Admirals. One has the otter fruit. Good Lord. That is... in terms of the Zoan devil fruits that we've seen in the series, that's definitely in the bottom third for me.
I remember thinking, that's a really weird looking mace he has with, like, a clamshell. And I was like, oh.
Which, to be fair, it was pretty effective. It smashed away a brick. It was a nice, effective weapon. And it fits his motif. I like it when characters stylize their weapons so it's still functional, everything. You don't sacrifice function, but you just stylize it to fit your power set. Oh, yeah. I always love to see that,
what was her name?
And then you had the other Vice Admiral, I believe Bluegrass is her name.
I don't remember.
But she
she can control anything she rides. And I had a moment like they did this to bait me.
Saddle, like she's a saddle human or something. With the ride fruit, and it's just.
We'll call that just a very suggestive moment.
I'll just say it. The ride on this dick moment.
She jumps on one of the pacifistas and just overrides it.
Yeah, which we in the manga, she actually rides one of the sea beasts to the island. I don't think they depicted that in the anime, or they did. It was a brief flash, but so it's so like anything. So I could imagine like a rock, like like the one SpongeBob, the old SpongeBob episode.
It's not just a boulder; it's a rock.
And then and it drives away. Like I can imagine she'd be able to pull that off. Then
like, man, where were you when we needed to defeat Kaido?
That's a verse. It'd be a useful devil fruit, but keeping it a buck, she's never making Admiral.
No,
not with a fruit like that. Like good Vice Admiral, but sorry, Bluegrass or whatever your real name is.
Again, with the many, there are so many paramecia out there, and so many of them are just like, that sounds stupid. But then they find a creative way to use it. Like, you know what? Yeah, if you could jump on a pacifista's back and you throw a little saddle on him, I guess, you could just control a Mark III pacifista.
Yeah. And it could be very, like, actually, low-key, you know what? I'll actually give her this much. It is one of the perfect fruits for evacuation.
Absolutely.
Just hop onto the roof of a big building, like a hospital, and just ride it out. Yeah.
So we're going to take the building and push it over there.
Yes, perfect. Continuing the SpongeBob there. Then we check in with the other fights going on. Kizaru with Luffy still going at it. Luffy being a Looney Tune. There was a part in this episode, I think it might be a little bit after this picture of Zoro and Lucci, but if you had told me that specific, like, 3 to 5 seconds of Luffy spinning around was from a 1958, like, Bugs Bunny, Tasmanian Devil, Looney Tune cartoon, I would have bought it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the whole point of Gear 5. It is just... in reality, it should not be the Nika Nika fruit. It should be the Looney Tune fruit. Or the Bugs Bunny fruit. It's just that level of bullshit.
Everything about... Luffy in general has got to be one of the most, not menacing, but a menace to fight. Not only because he's never taking the fight seriously or appropriately, but because you never anticipate to get punched from 50 feet away. Like, some people shoot lasers, like, okay, yeah, I can rock with that. No, he'll just grab you from, like, a country mile. Like, where, what?
Yeah. Well, except when he actually does take things serious, though. For example, Kaido, he was taking... Even in Gear 5, he was... serious for like 2/3 of that.
But still, like, even when he's taking it seriously, he grabbed him and used him as a jump rope. Like, imagine being Kaido.
And just pull, and also shot his hands out through Kaido's eyes.
Well, we'll come back. We'll come back to the silliness of that in just a few minutes. I promise. I've seen a whole lot of stuff on the internet about, like, what do you mean Zoro hasn't just straight up one-tapped Lucci? He's not a Yonko commander. Like, big dog, give me a break. Lucci is, yeah, he's not, like, top 10 in the verse, but as probably one of the most classically trained assassins out there, as one of the most vicious people out there, against Zoro, who has had, all gas, no brakes, pulling up to fight someone who did survive Gear 5. It's like, give Zoro credit where it's due. He has not had some insane power jumps since Wano. He's now up against someone who is a genuine threat to everyone barring Luffy, Lucci, and maybe Saturn.
Like Lucci is no slouch in any sense of the imagination. His battle IQ, definitely one of the better. Like, and here's the thing. For Zoro, you are going night and day in terms of battle IQ opponents.
You beat King because King is a mouth breather.
King was just so effing stupid.
Buddy, you had every advantage, and the dumbest guy in the room read you and then defeated you, despite how insanely strong, tough, and durable you are.
And then you got Lucci, who's literally been doing this basically his entire life.
Oh yeah, and
who murked a room full of hostages, I think when he was like 15 or something.
He has the special assassin powers, or the 6 powers.
Pretty good armament hockey.
A good devil fruit that he awakened.
And also has control over.
And he went and took a break after... Well, he got to sit down and take a break after the fight with the Seraphim. Which Zoro, only sort of rested. He was still busy, but Lucci got to sit down. And I think that's probably what's making the market difference here, is that, like, Zoro hasn't really had the time to, like, breathe, catch up, and really roll back to him. But it's not like Lucci just rolled him over. Zoro's just having a hard time pinning him down so easily. Especially in consideration with Luffy fighting Kizaru, I would say in relatively close proximity, but that's not a strictly accurate term. In a fight like that, everything is in close proximity to that fight because it's just that big.
Yeah. And you just... Yeah, and that's why Zoro and Lucci are clashing still. Novel concept. It's a tough fight. And Zoro panting. All right? He's not no-diffing. I don't care what people say. He is not no-diffing Lucci here.
Yeah, that's just out of the realm.
But then we are cutting to Saturn, to the ships that are stationed around Egghead, and an energy goes out.
Oh, dog.
And like we had seen, like, and the anime did this amazingly, where the you could see the waves of everything going on, because novel concept, you had a lot of explosions and everything else.
A moment of stillness sticks out like a sore thumb. Like, especially stillness in the sea, which, like...
Yeah, it's always eerie when everything is still. Like,
anything we get about the sea in One Piece should stick out like a sore thumb, because it's the singular, like, gaping weakness to any and all devil fruit powers, which, as far as we are strictly aware right now, is like 1.5 magic systems. You have the devil fruits and you have hockey, and like anything that involves the devil fruit part that can stop water, that just because as far as we know, hockey doesn't really interact with the sea. It doesn't matter like that. A devil fruit power doing anything with the sea should set off alarm bells, and that, like, how did this interact this way? I still don't understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but Saturn stands up. He makes a move, and the water goes calm. And then we cut to inside of Egghead, where, like, the you know, it's all the cliche, lightning all over, the clouds, dark clouds rolling in, the sky kind of turning red.
A reverse magical girl transformation where this motherfucker becomes a monster.
It's almost like the inverse, though, of when two conquerors clashed. It's a mixture of that, though. The lightning, but also the
clouds, the sky, the ground. Yeah. We get a couple of cuts to reactions of characters, and I think we have like a total of 6.
And everyone worth the 4 people who are fighting here, but also a couple others that are surprising to see.
So, of course, we see Luffy and we see Kizaru take him out and we're like, whoa, that's not supposed to happen. We see Zoro and Lucci both stop, right?
Yeah, Zoro, Lucci stop their fight, which is impressive because these two live for violence.
Yeah.
But also, Kizaru and Luffy stop their fight because they sense this just overwhelming hockey.
We also get a shot of Jinbei, who is surprised to see about this, but most surprisingly, Chopper stops. I was like, wait a minute, Chopper having observation hockey.
Yeah. Chopper reacting here. I don't know if this is his animal instincts or if it's observation hockey. Because here's the thing: Usopp does not react here.
We're not given an Usopp reaction, therefore Toei has failed me.
Yeah, but Chopper freaks out with the movement of Saturn, and then the start of some of the peak animation in this episode.
Dog, it goes
It
so
is
hard.
the pentagram, portal, summoning circle, and just it kicks off this.
We've got to talk about that, man.
Fantastic sequence. Like you have like this. So, it just like the whole it starts with this big funnel cloud of like what was it, turquoise flames, like a
Yeah.
cyclone of turquoise flames.
You get a black blob that
And-
forms and starts like constructing itself out of this amorphous mass.
Yeah, it looks like God, it seems really dumb to say like a Pokemon, but there's a Pokemon named Solosis, and it's like this amoeba looking like Pokemon. That's what exactly like an amoeba under a microscope is what like the form looked like, just taking form.
Oh.
And
It takes a few seconds, but he forms up
but during this time though, one of the OG Vice Admirals, the guy who has a bunch of scars on his face.
Oh, we see him like relatively frequently, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he was one of the like I think he was one of the Vice Admirals who was part of the NA's Lobby Buster Call. And what's interesting though is that he makes an announcement to all soldiers on the island. Saint Saturn is going to be landing on Egghead. If you are below Commodore, you are not allowed to be in his presence. Commodore and above, which for reference Commodore is Smoker's rank in Logetown. So any Marine who, in terms of the military ranking,
It's like a
who
SWAT captain or
is
something?
equal or above Alabasta / Logetown Smoker.
Cannot physically be there.
Can't. If you're above that rank, you can. If you're that rank or above, you can be there. But like
We get a moment of
that takes out
almost all of the
like
rank and file
technically
Marines.
captains. So like Kobe
Yeah.
and Tashigi current Tashigi still would not be able to if they actually followed the military rank here.
Yeah.
So obviously, like someone like Kobe, I think could withstand it, but they're
Wouldn't
just
be
like,
allowed to be there.
yeah, wouldn't be allowed to, which is crazy to me.
Well, we get on display, just a quick flash in the pan of power from.
Yeah, and then because
We have a Marine who's like, "Oh my God, is that a monster?" And the other one's like, "Shut up, shut up, shut up."
yeah,
And so the moment he's like focused in, he just
and then just
kills him.
pops his head, and you actually did see some graphicness of it, and then we get the true reveal of Saint Saturn, and holy shit, it seems weird to say he looks both sickly, but in the face he looks a little sick in a way. Like I don't know if it was a weird shading thing, but he looked like, but using his fruit or whatever it is.
The Gorosei powers are a little interesting because
But all I know is he got a round ass body now.
I'm sure it's some Japanese.
Yeah, it's
Legend.
ancient Japanese spiders inspired. Purple, I did not expect purple. Even his little like indicator for an awakened Zoan devil fruit that Luffy has and Lucci has is purple.
Thematically, purple does fit because purple is royalty, and the five elders are, I guess,
They are the royalty of One Piece in that intents and purpose. But it is just a remarkable animation sequence leading up to this reveal, and also the devil horns on Saturn.
it goes hard.
Like, but again, I'm just gonna say it, and again, this is going back to one of my biggest pet peeves in One Piece is object physical scaling.
Yeah.
His fucking staff grew in size to be with him.
I just assume the staff is also magic or something.
No, I just think it's a normal club staff. I don't think that. But it's just dumb. But also, like, we see this.
How big is he? Because that kind of matters.
He's definitely. Oh. I would say Awakened Saturn's probably. Taller than Big Mom. So I would probably say about 30 feet.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And plus, he's on spider legs, so like, height is a little bit of a.
Yeah, to be fair, and also like he's not straight up standing up spider legs though. So it's not like they're all bent and stuff. So I don't know how much a standing straight leg one would be.
What would count for like a fair measurement of that? It'd be, I guess, kind of hard to tell.
Yeah. But so the devil himself has appeared on Egghead.
Everyone is naturally upset by this.
But things don't stop. So Kizaru and also a crucial thing here is Saturn gives the order to the pacifistas to stop, just to stand down. And because they are the highest ranking. The order is that chip, that order chip, which anyone can use. Then you have Sentomaru themselves. And then you have the Vegapunks. And then you got
The Five Elders.
the Gorosei. So the pacifistas are literally just frozen.
Well,
but-
specifically, he orders them to stand down.
Yeah.
He didn't even order them to start attacking Vegapunk. He ordered them
Or
to
the
stand
Straw
down.
Hats. Yeah, he just told them to stand down. My guess is a little bit he doesn't want them more damaged, so maybe the logic is if they're not attacking, they won't be attacked, so we can save them.
Yeah, those are pretty useful military assets, keeping it a buck.
Oh, yeah. But then Kizaru goes after Vegapunk as Sanji, Frankie, Atlas, Bonnie, and Vegapunk are trying to escape Saturn. Causes Vegapunk swerves, and they legitimately fall this time.
Like, they're
down,
actually, yeah, to
and
Earth.
to avoid a Kizaru blast. But Luffy comes Tasmanian deviling.
The funniest thing here is that, like,
dodging
he
a
could just
laser
kind of
blow.
fly. Gear 5 can just sort of fly.
Yeah, it's just doing whatever Luffy / Oda wants.
We can kind of see how Kizaru can fly because light, but like Luffy out here has like a little running wheel underneath of him, and he
just literally the cartoon, like Looney Tunes logic. But Kizaru says you gotta be reaching your time limit because Luffy is sweating at this point.
he is trying.
But then he dodges a laser beam attack, spins himself around a lot.
We get a new move. Was it?
Star gun, and he just bonks. Literally,
This
the,
was the
thump sound effect.
this
done.
screenshot was the one we debated over to make the thumbnail.
Yeah, this or the previous one of Saturn, and
In my favorite reversal of all the graphic stuff we've seen, he connects with the side of Kizaru's head, and it just keeps going.
bulging and bulging.
It's like a couple feet through the side, and Kizaru's just like, that's not good.
This is a bit explicit of a comparison here, but it was almost like Luffy was putting a condom on his fist. Like, that's the only comparison I can kind of really make there. And Kizaru's head was the condom. That's dumb. And he sends Kizaru crashing into some
Frickin'
buildings.
nailed him.
But then Luffy also runs out of time, right when, of course, the devil has appeared. So the only person who could do maybe anything to the devil of Saint Saturn just ran out of gas.
He needs a little nappy nap. It's okay, but like,
But
not
then-
right now. We need you. We need you, buddy.
But then Bonnie, the tank crew,
They survive.
they survive. A little shaken up from it, you know.
The tank is destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah,
One of the wheels are off
The
and,
wheels break, and the thing pops open. It shatters, and yeah, they are the tank's done. So,
Also, quick aside from a boy Sanji, once he figured out that Bonnie was a child, they stopped animating him to be so.
Sanji.
Yeah, like thank God, I hated that. Like, please.
But Vegapunk gets up and he sees Saturn, and he's like, "You're Saturn, aren't you?" But of course, like, I would imagine that the last time that Vegapunk saw the Saturn was actually when they were just like up in their little chill room and in their normal forms, in their nice suits and stuff.
Yeah.
But not that. But so. But Bonnie hears Saturn confirm that he is Saturn.
Kill on sight.
And Bonnie
Target
flies into a
acquired.
rage. We see glimpses of like what Bonnie's and Kuma's story is in relation to what Saturn is responsible for. And ironically, Bonnie picks up the sword of the Marine that Saturn blew the head off of, and just does a running upstart and actually stabs Saturn.
Draws blood and everything.
Yeah. And so props to Bonnie. I mean, Luffy made shockwaves punching Charlos. But we obviously attacking the Gorosei is a bigger thing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we know, again, spoilers, but we know that the Gorosei got one of the most bullshit ass abilities.
Yeah. And we're going to see we're going to see more of the power of the Gorosei, because there's no way we're not gonna. It's that the thing about the Gorosei is their powers aren't very well defined. And especially with that teleportation circle and that head pop, what are they able to do? Slight spoiler, just for a related thing. We also know they're kind of immortal.
Yeah. They got regeneration.
They're, I think, also biological immortality.
Yeah. Like, we because when Spondum's dad was speaking to the Gorosei, this is just actually for age reference here, but we all know Spondum, you talk about dickheads, Spondum's up there. But Spandum's dad, I think his name is Spondine or something, but he's talking to the Gorosei at the pool, talking about like O'Hara and stuff, and they have not changed since then. We saw the flashback in Enies Lobby of Spondum talking to the Five Elders for the undercover mission for Cypherpole to find the Pluton blueprints. And in, like, I think, how long were they undercover in Water 7? 2? Or is it 2 years or 5 years?
In Water 7?
Yeah, when CP9 was undercover. They were undercover for years.
I think it was like 2 years they were undercover.
Yeah. And the Gorosei didn't change in that time span, you know?
Like, again, it's not expressly outlined, but crazy that highly classified government secrets are not going to be well explained to the broader populace. It's that I would like to know what the fuck we're up against.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out there and box him up.
Yeah. Nope. The demigod Luffy can deal with them. Yeah. I am quite fine just enjoying popcorn from the...
I'll watch from the sidelines.
From the sideline here. But it's very unexplained powers, but it just sets up... And, like, I can imagine the anime onlys just like, wow, Bonnie stabbed Saturn, is that it? Why were people freaking out about him? I mean, sure, it was a cool sequence, but that's it.
Like,
my sweet child. No.
They'll give it like 2 weeks. We have a recap week.
Yeah, we're giving, next week is going to be a week off for the anime. Week off, but we are getting the story, the known story of Kuma and Bonnie. I will say that. Like, what we have already seen from Sabaody to now, we will be getting a recap episode apparently done by Chopper.
Prepare the timeline to be really sad.
But naturally, there is going to be problems ahead. After next week, the episodes are just going to hit differently, and not both in a good way and also in a very sad way. 11/29, which will be on May 18th. Kuma's Past, a world where you are better off dead. Oh boy. And then 11:30, Erased History, the Doomed God Valley. The God Valley flashback animation is happening in that episode. So you're talking the Rocks Pirates, the Holy Knights, the Roger Pirates, all there. That is going to be a can't miss episode.
Absolutely not.
11:31, A Short-Lived Happiness, Kumachi and Ginny on June 1st. And then 11:32, An Oath to Ginny, Kuma Becomes a Father. I also think what's very interesting, though, is like in one of the preview thumbnails, though, is that we actually see that Kuma's little bear ears things, they're actually just part of him. They're not part of a hat. They're just part of him.
I think part of the pawpaw fruit, because it's...
yeah, it might have been part of the pawpaw fruit.
It's got to be some kind of bear thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Because like with Ursus shock, Ursus is Latin for bear.
Yeah. And so it's definitely probably a byproduct of his devil fruit. But, because Kid Kuma did not have them. So, well, it's definitely probably a byproduct of his devil fruit. But, yeah, so from now, so Kuma Piece, as some people have dubbed it, will be from now until mid-June. From the 18th to mid-June. So basically a month of Kuma Piece pain, and this is going to be pain piece.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Oda does not do drawn-out flashbacks very often. However, when he does them, they are some of the most goated pieces of One Piece.
With the exception of Orochi, I hate him.
Orochi was not a drawn-out flashback. That was not. But he was part of one. But Fisher Tiger's flashback / Odahime's flashback, that made Fishman Island bearable.
Yeah.
The whole... Because then it also set up aspects of Koala and other things, the Sun Pirates. So... And then in Wano... Of course, you had Odin's flashbacks, long flashbacks. Yes, Orochi was in them a bit, but Oda used that to explain why Orochi is the way he is now. But the bigger, long-form flashback of just Odin's journey, both in Wano and out of Wano with Roger and Whitebeard, honestly, that's still my it's an arc within an arc almost.
Yeah.
And it's honestly one of my favorite bits.
Odin's adventure was really, really fun. It's that I have a personal vendetta against Orochi at all times. I wish I could have seen all 9 of his heads get smashed with a rock.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Orochi's a piece of shit. But
this, we're about to have a field day. No, we're gonna have a field day trip to the therapy office.
Yes. So yeah, we're getting another elongated flashback sequence after next week, and it's going to be painful. But it's going to be one of the most important ones in terms of last stage of One Piece lore.
Yeah.
Like, the Odin flashbacks were great for some of, like, the pirate stuff, and I would say setting a little bit of the stage of the last bit of One Piece, but that was more of a Wano thing. This is setting up the
tone of the world.
Yeah.
We get a lot of mixed stuff about, and, like, a part of the earlier stuff of One Piece is we got a lot of flash-in-the-pan views of what the world is like. And a criticism of One Piece is it has one arc, and that, there's a
Luffy
style.
becoming king of the pirates, finding the One Piece.
Well, like, it's show up, make some friends, turns out the current administration is bad, find the people who can actually replace them, beat up the bad administration, and then let the good administration take over. Or
the close, like, that's basically
it's boiling that down a lot, but, like, why do we keep seeing this?
Mm-hmm.
Despite all of the really bad things out there, there's a lot of people out there who are suffering very, very heavily at the hands of the government.
Yeah.
And there are still good people out there to fight them.
And I saw a comment, or I think it was in a YouTube video, but, like, who Luffy is he doesn't go out of his way to be a hero, he also does not let injustice stand. And there's a difference, though. Mm-hmm. He can show up to an island, and if there's nothing going on, it's cool, you know?
There's nothing.
I mean, for example, Water 7, for the most part, he didn't do anything there.
Iceberg was a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, Iceberg didn't need replaced. What we needed was CP0 to stop acting up.
The Cypher Pole to be dealt with, not Water 7 itself. And I would argue Alabasta is also kind of like, yeah, sure, Crocodile was pulling the strings a lot, but Cobra was who
Cobra was a
in
good
charge.
dude.
And they were more trying to keep him in power. And so yeah, like that's, I don't think that's like the best like watered down of every arc is,
It's like,
beat up current system because king bad or
it's like
ruler bad.
when we do see it, I guess, as if as much as I would concede to such a criticism, we see it because it sets up the tone of the world, and that we have all these times where nothing is wrong. If there's nothing broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
But when they show up and there is a problem and it has to be fixed, Luffy is just going to do it because that is how things happen. This is who he is. He is not one. He suffers a fool, but not a tyrant.
Yeah. And it's also just, again, yeah, sure, but it's also a repeated theme because that's what's going to happen. Luffy is going to, like, to deal with Emu. Like, it's the same story, yeah.
He is going to eventually take down Emu. Some way, somehow, that's still a ways off. I'm sure we'll end up talking about that later, and I'm sure we're going to get an in-depth breakdown of everything that happens with that. But one day, Emu will be taken down, and then the world will be better off with his absence. Or her absence. I'm not sure.
Yeah, their absence.
And
Like,
he,
that's...
her, possibly it, possibly both. We know very, very little about Emu. Very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that's the whole point of the story, though. And it's not a